In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this histogram based on this set of numbers. And I'm going to do that with Excel. Start out by opening Excel and go to File, Open, Browse, navigate to your Documents folder and select this file, 3.5 Applied Statistics 1, and open it. I've entered in the set of data here for you in cells A1 through A20. Position your cursor here in cell A21, that's column A, row 21. Position your cursor there. And select this icon here, Insert Function. And you'll get this menu. Set the search criteria to all and type in SUM, and the sum function should be on the top of the list, and select OK. Now the next menu asks for the range, the data range, the numbers, and select cell A1, holding down your mouse button and dragging down to create a range down to A20, and you should see A1 colon A20 entered here, and select OK. And the formula is shown here, sum A1 colon A20, and the sum is 15.15. That's the total of these numbers here, these 20 numbers is 15.15. Now your number may be a little bit different. It may not show 3 significant figures. If you select the cell and right mouse button, you'll get this small menu here, and you could either increase or decrease the number of significant figures, and change if it's not 3 significant figures. If it doesn't say 0.150, change it such that it does. Now that is one way of summing a column of numbers. Another way, I'm going to select Undo and position my cursor at A20. There's also this function, the capital sigma. It accomplishes the same thing, and it should be in your quick access toolbar. If not, it's probably under formulas. But I'm going to select this function. And you notice it does the same thing. It types in the formula for you, and you simply enter, and it accomplishes the same thing. I'm going to calculate the average. Now if you go to your slide set, the average or mean is designated with the symbol mu, and it's the sum divided by the number of data points. So I'm going to create a formula. I'm going to position my cursor here, and I'm going to enter the equals symbol, and I'm going to point to cell A21, and I'm going to use the divide symbol, which is the backslash, and enter 20. And so I'm entering the sum by 20. Hit enter, and my average is 0.758. So I've created my own formula, and there it is, A21 divided by 20. I'm going to do the same thing with the formula. I'm going to position my cursor in A23, and I'm going to select the insert function, and I'm going to set this to all, enter average, and go. And the average function should be on the top of the list. Select it. It's going to ask for a range. I'm going to select cell A1 and drag, holding my mouse button down, drag down to A20. And the range should be A1 through A20. Select OK. And it calculates my average to be 0.758. And it calculates the average to be 0.758, which is the same whether I create my own formula or use the built-in formula from Excel. I'm going to calculate the median. If you go to your slide set, you'll see that the median is a measure of central tendency and is the value that occurs in the middle of the data set that has been arranged in numerical order. I'm going to position my cursor in cell A24 and select this function one more time, insert function, and search for, set this to all commands and search for median. And it's on the top of the list, select it. And once again, I'm just going to type in my range, A1 colon A20. Okay. And this is my median. It just so happens to be the same as my average. I'm going to position my cursor in A25 and select function one more time. I'm going to look for the minimum number in this data set, and I'm going to once again set the search category to all, and I'm going to type in MIN. Select it. I'm going to type in my range one more time, A1 colon A20. And the minimum is 0.748, which is right there. I'm going to position my cursor in A26, insert function, and I'm going to look for function M maximum. I know that it's it starts MAX, and search all and go, and it's at the top of the list. Select it. And once again, I'm going to enter in my range, A1 colon A20. And the maximum is 0.767, which is right there. I'm going to calculate my range. I'm going to create my own formula. I'm going to position my cursor here in A27 and then position my cursor up here. I'm going to enter in my formula. I'm going to type in equals. I'm going to point to the cell that contains the maximum, and I'm going to subtract the minimum, which is cell A25. So you see my formula is equals A26 minus A25, and select this little check to finish. And the range is 0.019. And if you go to your slide set, you'll see that the range is the difference between the largest and the smallest value that occurs in the data set. And the symbol is R. I'm going to calculate my standard deviation. Now going back to the slide set, this is the formula for the standard deviation. Excel makes it much easier to calculate. Once again, I'm going to search for a function, insert function. I'm going to select the category of all, and I'm going to search for standard deviation. And select go. And it's this one here on top, STDEV. Once again, I'm going to enter in my range, A1 colon A20, and select OK. And it calculates my standard deviation, and it's 0.005. Now I'm going to calculate my bins. I'm going to place my bins in cells C2 through cell C6. I'm going to position my cursor in cell C4. I'm going to enter in a formula and say that that bin is equal to the average, which is A23, plus standard deviation, which is A28, divided by 2, and enter. I hit the enter. I'm going to position my cursor in C3, and I'm going to enter in another formula. I'm going to say equals C4 minus A28, the standard deviation, and you could select enter or select this check. I'm going to position my cursor in C2 and enter in another formula. I'm going to enter equals. I'm going to point to C4 and enter minus 2 asterisks, the standard deviation A28, enter. I'm going to position my cursor in cell C5, create another formula, says equals to C4 plus the standard deviation A28, enter. One more cell, C6, create another formula, equals C4 plus 2 times asterisks, the standard deviation, enter. There are my bin ranges. Now I'm going to create my histogram chart. Go to Data, Data Analysis, and select Histogram. Okay. I'm going to select my input range. It's A1 through A20. It should look like this. Excel enters automatically $signs in between the numbers and letters, but you could ignore those for right now. Let's select my bin range. My bin range is C2 through C6. It should look like this. I'm going to select an output range, and I'm going to put my output here in cell D1. To do that, you position your cursor here and point to D1. It should look like that. I'm going to make sure that I have a check here under Chart Output, so I'll generate my histogram chart. And then I'm going to select OK. And it calculates my bin numbers, and it creates my chart. I'm going to drag my chart over here, place it right there, so that if I print it out, it'll all print out on one page. So the way you interpret this, each of these bars represents one of these bin ranges. So take, for instance, the first one. Anything below 0.750 is counted here, and there are 3 numbers below equal to 0.75 or below, and those 3 numbers are shown here in yellow. So the quantity is 3, and the height of this bar is 3. And this second bar corresponds to the second bin range, and it counts the number of data points above 0.5 or less than and equal to 0.755, and there's one data point between that range, and that's this number here, and so forth. Each of these bars, this third bar corresponds to this third bin range here between 0.76 and 0.755, and there are 9 numbers that meet that criteria, and so the height of this column is 9. So we're done now, and save your file. Go to File, Save, Browse, store it in your Documents folder, and append your initials to the end of the file name, and select Save. Open up your snipping tool, and select New, and select your window, and include your name. Your name should be in the window. Save your file and call it Capture with your initials. Store it in your Documents folder. And submit that screen capture to Canvas to complete your assignment.